What happens when a normal morning show interview suddenly turns into one of the most awkward moments daytime TV has ever seen? Kelly Rowland, the Grammy-winning superstar loved by millions, stepped onto the set of Today with Jenna and Friends expecting a basic promotional chat. Instead, she ended up at the center of a clash so tense and so shocking that she walked off the set completely, leaving producers panicking and viewers at home absolutely stunned. Before we talk about what was actually said that made Kelly remove her mic and leave, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me whether you think she was justified. Alright, let's get into what truly happened. The morning began just like any other taping inside the famous Studio 1A at Rockefeller Center. Kelly arrived right on schedule, glowing in a tailored green blazer with matching wide-leg trousers. Her team had locked in this appearance weeks earlier as part of her promotional push for her new wellness project, something she'd poured 2 full years of work, heart, and intention into. Backstage energy was the usual, but producers rushing around with headsets and clipboards, makeup artists doing last-minute touch-ups, camera crew adjusting equipment, assistants confirming timing and lighting. In her green room, Kelly relaxed with a cup of herbal tea, scrolling on her phone while her publicist reviewed the talking points one final time. Everything appeared perfectly normal. The segment was supposed to be light, inspiring, a positive conversation about self-care, personal growth, and Kelly's path into the wellness space. What could possibly go wrong? Jenna was already on set talking with her co-host for the day, someone we'll call Monica. Monica was a lifestyle correspondent who had recently joined the show's rotating group of friends. She had built a reputation with viewers for bold opinions and sometimes risky comments about celebrity culture. But the network liked her because she brought a bit of edge they hoped would attract younger audiences. When Kelly walked onto the set during the commercial break, both hosts stood up, greeted her warmly, and gave her quick hugs. The studio audience clapped as Kelly settled into the soft cream-colored chair facing Jenna and Monica. Cameras rolled again after the commercial, and Jenna opened the interview with her usual bright energy, thanking Kelly for being there and admiring her outfit. Kelly smiled graciously, her signature warmth lighting up the set as she crossed her legs and settled in. Jenna began by asking about Kelly's wellness journey and what had motivated her to launch this new initiative. Kelly's face brightened instantly. She talked about how the last few years had taught her the importance of mental well-being, setting boundaries, and realizing that success means very little if you're drained and exhausted. She spoke honestly about creating resources for women, especially women of color, who often feel pressure to be endlessly strong without giving themselves space to rest. The audience clearly connected with what she was saying and nodding along, smiling, snapping their fingers in support. Jenna asked thoughtful follow-up questions about Kelly's practices, the lessons she learned, and how she manages balance in such a demanding career. For the first 7 minutes, everything was smooth, uplifting, and exactly what Kelly's team had hoped for. Kelly was charming, grounded, and very real. And then Monica jumped in. She leaned forward with that sly smile people use when they're about to change the temperature in the room, and she said something that instantly shifted Kelly's expression. Monica asked with a half laugh whether Kelly found it funny or strange to be promoting wellness and balance when, according to her, Kelly's entire career had supposedly been built around living in someone else's shadow, constantly fighting to be noticed or validated. The whole studio froze. You could practically feel the air get colder. Kelly's smile froze too, though not her eyes. Those went from warm to sharp in half a second. Jenna snapped her head toward Monica with a stunned expression, clearly not expecting the conversation to go there. The audience shifted uneasily. Kelly inhaled slowly and answered with incredible composure considering the disrespect she had just been hit with. She said her career had been shaped by hard work, amazing opportunities, and genuine sisterhood with other talented women. She stated firmly that being part of something bigger does not mean you're in someone's shadow, it means you are contributing to a legacy. Her voice was steady, but anyone watching could hear the tension underneath. She explained how the public and the media often created competition narratives where none existed, especially when it came to women. It was a beautiful response, graceful, clear, and firm. But Monica wasn't finished. Instead of backing off or acknowledging Kelly's well-spoken answer, she doubled down. She said, and I'm paraphrasing based on what audience members recalled, "That's a really polished answer, Kelly, but we're all adults here." Weren't the comparisons damaging to your confidence? Isn't that why you're into wellness now, because you spent years feeling like you weren't enough? The audacity was unbelievable. She was essentially trying to psychoanalyze Kelly on live television, minimizing her accomplishments and turning her wellness advocacy into some kind of emotional wound. Jenna jumped in fast, saying Monica's name in a warning tone and trying desperately to redirect the conversation. But Monica continued, insisting she was simply asking the questions everyone wanted answered and that Kelly should appreciate honesty instead of praise. Kelly's jaw clenched. She uncrossed her legs, sat up straighter, and when she replied again, her voice no longer carried the earlier warmth. She said, "I came here to talk about a project I believe in, as something meant to help people. I didn't come here to be disrespected or to have my career reduced by someone who clearly hasn't done any research." She kept her eyes locked on Monica the entire time, steady and unblinking. The tension in the studio was electric. Jenna immediately tried to smooth things out, apologizing and begging Kelly visually, if not verbally, to continue discussing the actual topic. In the control room, producers were losing their minds. Crew members near the set were signaling frantically to wrap up or cut to break. But Monica, instead of reading the room, pushed again. She said something like, "I think you're being too sensitive. This is just a conversation. If you can't handle honest questions, maybe morning TV isn't the place for this." And that was it. That was the breaking point. Kelly's expression shifted from frustrated to completely done. She reached for the mic pack attached to her waistband and unclipped it. The scraping sound echoed loudly across the studio's speakers. Jenna's eyes widened. Monica suddenly looked unsure, like maybe she had finally realized she'd crossed a line. Kelly stood, microphone pack in hand, and said quietly but powerfully, "I have spent my entire career answering honest questions from people who respect me and respect journalism. What you're doing is not journalism. It is disrespect disguised as honesty, and I don't need to sit here for it." The audience didn't know what to do. A couple of people clapped, then stopped when no one else joined. Kelly placed her mic pack neatly on the chair and turned to Jenna. Her expression softened slightly as she said, "I'm sorry, Jenna, I know this wasn't the plan." Then she walked off set, her heels clicking loudly in the stunned silence. Her publicist followed her immediately. The producers scrambled. Jenna sat frozen, trying to figure out what to say. Monica looked shockingly unsure of herself. A sudden commercial break was thrown on the air, and chaos exploded behind the scenes. When the show came back, Jenna was sitting alone, looking shaken. Monica had been pulled off set, and Jenna looked like she was doing everything she could not to fall apart on camera. She said something vague about unexpected issues before tossing awkwardly to the weather. But the viewers weren't fooled. Social media was already blowing up with clips, rewinds, and freeze frames of every expression. Backstage, Kelly was in her green room, calmer than anyone expected. She wasn't yelling, crying, or throwing anything. She sat on the couch with her blazer off, quietly shaking her head. Her manager paced the room, furious, talking about contracts, expectations, and filing formal complaints. Her publicist fielded non-stop calls from outlets begging for statements or exclusive follow-ups. Then a young production assistant knocked softly on the door, looking like she wished she were anywhere else. She politely asked if Kelly would consider returning to the set just briefly so they could end the segment cleanly. Kelly's publicist replied instantly, "Absolutely not." The coordinator apologized repeatedly and hurried away. Meanwhile, Jenna stormed into the producer's area demanding answers so why Monica was allowed to say that, why the interview wasn't stopped, why she was put in such a terrible position. Staff later said they had never seen Jenna that angry. She pointed out that Kelly Rowland was not some reality star begging for attention, as she was a respected artist too, and treating her like gossip fodder was not only offensive but harmful to the show's long-term reputation. The executive producer tried to justify Monica's behavior by saying she was known for making spicy TV. Jenna cut him off, telling him compelling television isn't the same as disrespectful television, and if the network didn't understand that, she might reconsider her own place there. That statement got everyone's attention quickly. Back in the green room, Kelly changed into casual clothes, a jeans and a black sweater, and put her hair into a ponytail. She put on sunglasses even though they were inside, preparing to leave without being photographed. Her manager brought the car around to a quieter side exit. As Kelly and her publicist walked down the hallway, they ran into Monica coming the other way. Monica paused, looking like she might try to apologize. She opened her mouth, but Kelly held up her hand and said, clearly and calmly, "Don't. Just don't. I have nothing to say to you right now." Witnesses say Monica's face went from surprised to defensive to something resembling regret. But Kelly was already past her. In the car, her publicist worked on drafting a statement, trying to strike the delicate balance between defending Kelly and avoiding the appearance of being difficult. Kelly quietly gave notes, removing anything that felt too emotional or too soft. She wanted the focus on respect and professionalism. The network released its own statement within a few hours, a corporate, vague, and avoiding Monica's name entirely. Viewers tore it apart instantly for dodging accountability. Jenna's personal message was much more direct, subtly but clearly distancing herself from Monica. Kelly's official statement dropped about 6 hours later. It was calm but strong. She explained she agreed to the interview in good faith, expected a professional discussion, and refused to remain in a situation where she wasn't being treated with respect. She said she hoped this moment would spark conversations about how interviews, especially those involving women and women of color, should be conducted. People praised her immediately. Fans, fellow artists, and even casual viewers applauded her for setting boundaries. Other celebrities even started sharing their own stories of uncomfortable interviews they had been pressured to tolerate. Monica stayed silent for the first full day, and the network realized quickly that the fallout was serious. Within 48 hours, several upcoming guests quietly cancelled their appearances. The message was clear: no one wanted to risk being ambushed. Morning TV depends on trust from viewers and trust from guests. And in less than 10 minutes, that trust had been badly damaged.